Bitcoin is still dropping after freaking out majorly 75k, 76k. We then lost 72k once again. And I told you guys very clearly that if Bitcoin actually confirms and also loses continually 71k, 72k, we could be actually seeing much lower prices. Even though, to be honest, I was happy for Bitcoin's, pump above 71.6. We were calling for higher. If we hold on and manage to actually hold on onto the support, which is 71, 72k. However, from yesterday's live stream and also video, we've said that, to be honest, even though Bitcoin hasn't yet done something majorly bearish, however, whenever we also always see the loss of the volume value area high, as I've been teaching guys, whenever we see the top getting lost, we always want to be very cautious and also be ready for a potential drop to where to obviously potentially the value area low. Hence why I told you guys that if this happens, I'm going to be closing my long. So I opened up the long, I think a week or two ago from 66k. I then took profits at 68k and then I rode it all the way higher, but then saw the weakness and I closed it at around 70k in profits, obviously. But obviously in the game of actually trading, we don't maximize for short-term profits, but rather try to maximize long-term profits. So even though I didn't close at the top, I closed with weakness. I don't close my trade whenever Bitcoin seems to be bullish. I see the weakness. I understood that Bitcoin had then, or did actually yesterday, lose the value area high, and I told you guys yesterday on the video that if Bitcoin just holds on to this zone, if we, and that is a big if we never ever reclaim, or currently contextually don't reclaim 72k, we can be potentially expected to drop, and the closest zone of support would be at 68k. Even though, to be honest, the volume profile is kind of a huge kind of cluster of volume, so it is not a big node difference when it comes to the POC. However, to be honest, it still does matter the most. So technically right now, with the drop that we are seeing on Bitcoin, if somebody's asking me which or where will be the next long or even short, again guys, you know me, I will never ever tell you to randomly short when the market is dropping. However, right now with the current drop, maybe the closest, I guess, short we can be looking into, if I pull a from a lower time frame, I pull the anchored view up, I'd say from the top, it could be here. So yes, if Bitcoin goes back to retest, I'd say 72k again with the anchored view up. So again, I don't sell or short with the drop. However, whenever something is bearish, we can be getting a little, I guess, pump that would be contextually also bearish if we do something like that. So if Bitcoin goes back to retest 71.5, 72k, this could be a zone of interest for a short. However, if this doesn't happen, if we keep on dropping or even pump and don't do that, then I won't be shorting Bitcoin. You either short the top or you avoid longing or shorting. So I will never ever guys tell you to actually be shorting with the drop. You always want to catch it from the top. So right now with Bitcoin dropping, I'd more importantly focus on talking about longs. I think that longs are what are more important now with the drop. Obviously, we spoke about the closest kind of zone of interest being 70k. We saw zero reaction at 70, and then obviously now Bitcoin is dropping. The closest sort of support, as I said, is literally this zone at the POC at around 67.9. I call it 68k. So this would be the zone of interest of mine, to be honest, for a potential long, even though that long may not come and even may also be not that big. So for example, if Bitcoin, let's just say we wait for 24 hours and then Bitcoin drops to 68 and then we get a chance to enter a long, yeah, this could be either a failure of a long, so we enter and then lose. Obviously, that is always an option. Or we actually entered and then it becomes a little long that only lives on for a little bit. I'd say a little bit contextually. And then maybe we open a short and we continue lower. Or, again, I have no idea, but maybe, just maybe, it ends up being an amazing higher low as we've been doing. And then maybe we can pump higher. So, again, whenever we enter a long, we don't enter it because we're super bullish or because we're expecting Bitcoin to go to a million or something. We just take them as they come. So again, whenever we're dropping, obviously I'm going to be talking about potential long zones. If we pump, then we can potentially be, I guess, again guys, looking for the chances to buy, guys, whenever we're dropping. So again, now the major question that everybody would be asking me is that is Bitcoin contextually bearish? And the answer is, to be honest, yes. I mean, I'm not flip-flopping, I'm just stating the fact. Whenever obviously we see a fake out of a fake out of a fake out, so a triple fake out with also the anchored view up that was taken from, again, I remind you guys, this is the downtrend that was started from 97, and we literally hit that and then went back to the value area high. So whenever we actually make a fake out, and the larger, the harder, the less, I guess, probably the fake out is, and whenever it happens, the worse it is when it comes to dropping. So right now, not only do we fake out the fake out and also hit the anchored view up, lost the value area high, but that is all, I mean, again, pointing lower with the liquidity still being lower. However, for the sake of God, don't be selling now. If you want to ask me a question, okay, Ahmed, when do we become bullish? We'll only be contextually bullish if we actually prove everything wrong by going above, as I told you, this zone. So we got the anchored view up here, and we also got, like, I'd say 71.5. So this zone is either for a short, again, if we go here and catch a short, that would be awesome too. Or if you don't catch a short, maybe just flip it in and become bullish. So unless we reclaim 72, I'm not going to be flip-flopping. I'll stay, I guess, more leaning bearish. If we drop, I'm also open for a long, but again, that doesn't change anything. So we can take a long at 68, then like pump a little bit, but then drop again. So unless the long that we take, if we take it, brings Bitcoin above 72, it wouldn't change much. It would only make me money as a trader. So again, this would be only a potential play. Let's just say and assume the worst. So if you ask me, okay, Ahmed, what if we hold on to 72 as resistance, we drop to 68, but then we also lose it? Again, I would have to mention the final, I guess, potential support, which would be at 66k, but also after that, I wouldn't have any sort of support for you guys. Unfortunately, if Bitcoin loses 65.5, we can be going back to 60. Again, I'm just speaking about facts in terms of Bitcoin being, below this and then losing one support out, after another. So we got 68, we lose that, we go to 65.5, we lose it, and then potentially we'll be seeing 60. Again, this is not a signal for you to be selling. Quite the opposite. You can be shorting if we pump, but you gotta be trying to actually long if we dump on our way lower on Bitcoin. So right now it is contextually bad, but maybe, just maybe, we can go back above 72 and change and clear everything else.